Hey, everybody. Today is Monday, April the 16th, and you are watching another episode of FCN Prime News. I'm Trezene, the editor of FCN1, all things news, business, and politics. I am here with some stories of basically what has happened all over this weekend. Top 3 stories tonight is updates on what's happened with the arrest that happened in Starbucks in Philadelphia. 2, details of the gruesome murder of Brandy Odom in New York, hashtag say her name. And of course, a recap of all things Baychella. Of course, Jayco was in the studio with your sports stories. Jayco, what do you have for us tonight?
Hey, thank you, Trezene. I have a couple sports stories, yes. We'll get to that. I actually had a story that I wanted to tell you. I want to get a little input. I thought it might be relevant to our viewers, if I can, Trezene.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So I'm at work today, and I noticed something. It occurs to me that when white people are telling you a story and they're talking about a person who's black, they always lower their voice when they say black. So I called out a few people on this, and I was like, why are you lowering your voice when you say black? I said, here's the rule that you should, well, before I go into that, have you ever experienced that?
Absolutely.
Because I didn't know if they don't do that around black people.
They do that, and you just hear them go, black. Or if you're around, they kind of hesitate to say, like, it's okay, say black.
There's a pause.
Yeah, it's relevant. Say black.
Okay, so here's my rule. I'm glad you said it was relevant. The rule is, this is for the white people. If color is relevant to the story, then you don't have to whisper it. If you have to whisper it, just don't say it. Simple as that.
Simple as that.
So, that's my soapbox. I'm getting off. Trezene, please enlighten us with your news stories. I'll be back with my sports later.
All right, well, you know how we do at FCN. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. We want to thank you all for your consistent support of this program, wherever you happen to be watching. If you haven't already, please like, follow, and subscribe to all of our channels. We are on YouTube and Facebook at /The Fifth Column Network. Prime News is on Instagram and Twitter and Periscope at FCN_1. Prime Sports is always on Twitter, okay, at FCN_2. You can catch them there. You can also watch all of our programming on demand on our website, thefifthcolumnnetwork.com, where our programming can be watched in chronological order by channel or by program. So check that out, okay? But before, of course, take time to share this program with your friends and followers. And don't forget to leave your comments, your thoughts, your questions, your sarcasm, your hate, anything you want to leave them in the comments, because as I'm sharing the news, of course, the conversation begins when the news stories end. Jayco and I will definitely tackle all of your comments live. All right, so let's get into this news. First up, a man kills himself, his daughter, their son, and his daughter's adoptive dad with an AR-15 2 months after their incest was exposed. A father and daughter who were in the news in February after being arrested for having an incestuous relationship that produced a child are dead, along with their 7-month-old son and the daughter's adoptive father. A day after Katie Plato, age 20, broke up with her father, Stephen Plato, age 43, over the phone, he drove to New York. Then, with their young son Bennett, shot and killed her and her adoptive father, 56-year-old Anthony Fusco, with an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle. He fired into the car where they were from his car, police said. He then drove 16 miles to Dover, New York, killed his son, and then called his own mother to tell her what he did before taking his own life with the rifle. Katie Plato and Fusco were found dead in Connecticut. It's not clear yet how the baby was killed. Stephen Plato bonded out of jail in March, where he was doing time for incest with an adult, adultery, and contributing to delinquency. Katie Plato was staying with her adoptive family in New York after she bonded out. Katie Plato was given up for adoption after she was born. She first met her birth parents when she was 18, and the incest began a short time later after that. In Louisiana, the Senate has recently voted to ban bestiality. And the vote was hardly unanimous. Yep, nearly a third of senators vote nay to banning the sexual abuse of animals. Yeah, I know. This story is going to need some explaining. The state technically has an anti-bestiality statute on the books, but the problem is that lawmakers tied it up with a sodomy law, which, like other anti-gay sex laws nationwide, was rendered unconstitutional in about 2003 when the Supreme Court said, can't really mess with people's sexual preferences like that. When it did get outlawed, it made it difficult in Louisiana to prosecute for sex crimes against animals. And trying to revise the law, the intent is to make the language of the bill constitutional and to clarify what actually is bestiality under the law. Specifically, the bill makes sexual abuse of an animal and as a crime and sets penalties for those convicted. It would also require that sexually abused animals be removed from their abusers and delivered to a veterinarian for treatment. If convicted of a crime, a person would not be allowed to own any animals in the future. If you're wondering why nearly 1/3 of the Senate voted against the bill, you're going to be left wondering, as none of them could be reached by any media for comment. In Ohio, a man was arrested after allegedly attacking a woman by hitting her in the face with his weapon of choice, a pizza. Police were responding to a domestic incident early Wednesday when they encountered a highly intoxicated and belligerent Kenneth Evans, age 24. When police arrived on the scene, they encountered a lot of yelling, and when no one would answer the door, an officer tried to get inside, but Evans pushed the door shut in the cop's face. Police did manage to get inside and said Evans appeared to be very intoxicated and antagonistic, but then he soon followed commands to sit on the floor after a cop pointed a stun gun at him. The house was trashed with the couch flipped upside down, officers did report. According to police as well, the alleged victim claims Evans attacked her earlier when she was driving home, pushing her head dead into some pizza. She said that he continued to lash out, punching the dashboard, kicking the car door when exiting, and trying to fight with a neighbor, throwing random tires in the street, smashing a mailbox, and like I said, turning over the couch and throwing other objects. Evans admitted to turning over the couch, police said, but denied completely that he even touched the woman. Cops say that he continued to be temperamental while he was being booked on the domestic violence charge. Jail staff said that while in jail, Evans tried to box the walls of his jail cell. He has pleaded not guilty in a court appearance and was released upon Wednesday after putting up $3,000 bond. I hope you guys all notice that this guy is still alive. Over the weekend, 2 black men were arrested in a Philadelphia Starbucks while waiting for a friend, and they have agreed to meet with the CEO of the company. The 2 black men arrested at a Philadelphia Starbucks last week have agreed to meet with CEO Kevin Johnson. The timing of the meeting has not been set, according to a Starbucks spokesperson. The company said it hopes the meeting will occur this week while Johnson is in Philadelphia, addressing the issue over the arrest. A store manager who was white and female was the one who called the police because the 2 men were sitting in the store without placing an order. They were arrested for defiant trespassing. The customer said that they were waiting for another man to arrive. That person arrived at the store as they were being arrested. The 2 men were real estate investors, while the man that they were waiting to meet was a white real estate developer and broker in that area. The problem started for the men when they asked for the code needed to use the bathroom and were told that code was only available for paying customers. According to a Starbucks spokesperson, there is no company-wide policy on bathroom use at Starbucks stores, but many stores in high-traffic areas require a code that is printed on a receipt in order to use their bathroom. Starbucks CEO said that he'd like to have a dialogue with the 2 men to ensure that they have the opportunity to really understand the situation and show some compassion and empathy for the experience the 2 men went through and to collaborate in finding a constructive way to solve the issue. The CEO called the arrest reprehensible and promised to take action so that it does not happen ever again. Johnson has apologized repeatedly since news of the arrest went viral, but he declined during his interview on Monday with local media to say whether the manager would face discipline. He declines to point any blame. Speaking of blame, meanwhile, the man who called the police that led to the fatal shooting of Stephen Clark has said that he regrets making that phone call to police. David Reeling told local media that he heard breaking glass on the night of March 18th, went outside and found the windows of his 2 trucks smashed and a man in a hooded sweatshirt nearby. He briefly chased the man down the block and then called authorities. Reeling regretted that his report led to the killing of 22-year-old Stephen Clark. He says, "It makes me never want to call 911 ever again," he said in his interview. Reeling said that he is very familiar with Clark's grandparents and had seen Stephen around the neighborhood multiple times. To date, it has not been established whether Clark was indeed the individual who smashed Reeling's car windows. In New York, a manhunt continued Wednesday for the savage killer of Brandy Odom, age 26, whose remains were identified only after a sister saw the telltale tattoo, chocolate, inked on the victim's chest. Brandy Odom's naked torso and head were discovered Monday evening by a dog walker in the sprawling park with her severed arms, legs, and other body parts wrapped in plastic bags and left elsewhere. Police sources reportedly believe Odom was killed and dismembered somewhere else and then dumped in the park. Her body parts were discovered strewn across the park's 132 acres. Detectives are reviewing surveillance video from around the park in hopes of spotting a suspect. The city's medical examiner did not determine a cause of death yet, although police sources indicate that Odom was possibly strangled before the killer brutally severed up her body. The victim's face was swollen and bruised when found, with her arms severed at the elbows, cops said. Her legs were hacked just below her buttocks, another source has told local media. Police have said that they found a bloody saw in a trash can 50 yards from where the torso was found, but it was unclear whether it was related to the crime. Some other reports have said that they found a knife rather than a saw, but what is clear is a weapon that could have been used was found nearby. The saw or knife was discovered in an area that had been searched just the day before. DNA testing will be used to confirm a link to the crime and perhaps pinpoint a suspect in this murder. A $2,500 reward is being offered for information related to the brutal murder. Authorities have not said whether they believe the murder was a random crime or whether Miss Brandy Odom was killed by someone that she knew. What has been the most confusing in all of the reports is Brandy's living situation and the relationship with her family members. Some reports say she was living with an aunt about 15 blocks from the place from where her head and torso were found. Brandy's mother, however, says that she was living with a roommate in Queens. The victim was the middle of three sisters, a high school graduate, and a hairdresser who never caused any problems at home, as her mother has reported. But other reports say she was a security guard with aspirations of going to vocational school. Odom's Facebook page listed herself as single, and her mother didn't know of any boyfriend. Her mother also said that she had not seen her daughter in a month since the notification of the killing. It has also been reported that Odom has been arrested for loitering in the past with a suspicion of engaging in prostitution in 2012. While the past of a victim isn't always relevant to dealing with crime, but in this instance, this particular fact could be very helpful in understanding the conflicting stories of this woman's living situation, her occupation, and of course, what actually happened to this young woman. If you have any information related to this crime, you're encouraged to report New York police. In political news, it's been a few days since President Trump announced airstrikes on Syria, and reportedly, Syrian President Assad is in a pretty good mood. Last week, dozens of Syrian civilians were killed in a suspected chemical weapons attack, and Assad's forces are believed to be behind it. On Friday, Trump announced a coordinated missile attack with the UK and France on Syrian chemical weapons facilities. UN Ambassador Nikki Haley says the U.S. is locked and loaded if Assad uses these weapons again. How are people reacting to this? Some on both sides of the aisle say Trump was right to show that the U.S. won't tolerate chemical weapons, but many are wondering what the larger U.S. strategy in Syria will be. Earlier this month, Trump said that he wanted out of Syria altogether, but then in 2013, Twitter receipts show that he said the bombing in Syria would be a waste of time and money, but now, apparently not. According to experts in international politics, it's unlikely that this weekend's missile attack will change this situation on the ground in Syria. Case in point, the reports of Assad's good mood came from his reaction while meeting with officials from Russia yesterday. Russia is Syria's top ally. In more political news, former FBI Director James Comey has a new book, and last night ABC aired one of first of many, many promo interviews, I am sure. In the interview that aired last night, Comey said it's possible Trump is compromised by the Russians, that there's certainly some evidence that Trump obstructed justice, and that he is morally unfit to be president. Comey also addressed his infamous 11th hour letter reopening the Hillary Clinton email investigation, and quite possibly how that may have lost her the election. Take a look at this clip from that interview.
Hillary Clinton's convinced that that letter defeated her. What do you say to her?
I hope not. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I sure hope not. But the honest answer is it wouldn't change the way I think about it. I mean, my hope, I didn't write the book for this reason, but talking about leadership, it was important.
Oh, so sorry that clip didn't play. Let me tell you what he said in that interview, because I certainly watched. He talked about his decision to issue that letter at the last minute for Hillary Clinton. He said he felt he was kind of in a catch-22. He thought Hillary was going to win the election. Polls were showing that she was, and he was terrified that if he waited to review the emails that he found on Weiner's server, and it actually was bad, that if he didn't disclose that until after she had won the election, it would have been a huge mess. So he said, I found this out and I disclosed it at the time in which I found out the information. And he says, you know, he doesn't know if he cost her the election, but he still stands by his decision. In that interview, he also threw hella shade at President Trump, talking about how he was captivated by Trump's physical appearance upon meeting him the first time. You guys can see this quote. He said he had an impressively coiffed hair and it looks to be his. He confessed he looked at it pretty closely, and he said it looks like it might take you a long time to do that in the morning. He also came for him for his tie, said they're always too long. He talked about his orange appearance and said the fact that he has the white things under his eyes, probably because he's wearing his goggles when tanning. I thought that part was a little shady. For those who don't remember, Comey got fired as a result of him investigating in Russia, and that is what sparked the appointment of special counsel Robert Mueller in the first place. And lastly, before we move on to sports this weekend, Beyonce made history being the first black woman to headline the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival. The superstar was scheduled to headline last year's festival, but was canceled after her doctor's orders because she was pregnant with twins at the time. Lady Gaga is whom stepped in her shoes as her replacement. Beyonce did not disappoint her fans. She opened her 2-hour set dressed as Nefertiti. She sung Lift Every Voice and Sing. She quoted Malcolm X between songs. She sampled Nina Simone and gave a halftime show of what reflected historically black college and university games. Not to mention, she had many guests pop up on stage with her, from her sister Solange, who performed a dance break with her, to husband Jay-Z, with whom she performed her duet Deja Vu. Beyonce also reunited with Destiny's Child, and the three performed their hits Say My Name and Soldier. Throughout her entire performance, Beyonce introduced everyone to her sorority, Beta Delta Kappa, with the B and K presumably to reflect her initials and Delta presumably to reflect Roc Nation, the label founded by her husband. She even wore the Greek letters on her yellow sweatshirt, along with the crest she created to reflect it. This year's performance culminated in a fashion line for the Greek/HBCU gear, ranging from t-shirts for about $40 to Greek lettered jackets priced at $450. This morning, she announced her Homecoming Scholars Award through her Bay Good initiative. The award will be 4 $25,000 scholarships for 4 students, one each attending 4 select HBCUs to receive the newly established scholarship for the 2018-19 academic year. The universities are Xavier, Wilberforce, Tuskegee, and Bethune-Cookman. This is the second year for a scholars program created by the singer. The Formation Scholars Award program was a merit scholarship program that was established in April of 2017 in celebration of the 1-year anniversary of Beyonce's 2016 album Lemonade. The award supported and encouraged young women who were bold, creative, conscious, confident, and unafraid to think outside the box. The Homecoming Scholars Award program will expand to all qualifying students at the 4 universities, regardless of gender. The disciplines will include literature, creative arts, African American studies, science, education, business, communication, social sciences, computer science, and engineering. All applicants must maintain a 3.5 GPA or above, and all finalists and winners will be selected by the universities. The winners will be announced in the summer. And also this summer, Beyonce and Jay-Z will kick off their joint tour. All right, with that, I'm going to kick it to J. Cole for your sports stories tonight. J. Cole, take it away.
Hey everybody, it's J. Cole. You can follow me at J. Cole Is It. And tonight I bring you the sports stories from our Prime Sports Desk from a perspective that isn't yours. In our top story, Adidas apparently wants to sign Colin Kaepernick to an endorsement deal, but has held off because the former 49ers quarterback isn't on an NFL roster yet. Mark King, president of the Athletic Apparel. Adidas does not want to give the impression that it's, quote, taking advantage of the noise or interest that he has garnished, King said. If he signs on a team, we would definitely want to sign him. So he spoke at the University of Arizona, and while being interviewed, this subject did come up. I like the thought behind it. I'm not so sure how genuine that is, and Twitter agreed. Kid Whitey said, why not sign him regardless of him getting signed? Why does he have to have a team contract for him to have an Adidas contract? This is a sad attempt to cash in on Kaepernick 7 without having to do anything. Busted Adidas. They got positive PR off the bat just by saying it. So I'm leaning towards Kid Whitey for the first time in my life. And David Dennis Jr. says, what team does Kanye West play for? Good point, Mr. Dennis. Kanye West is not on any teams, yet he does have an Adidas sponsorship. So again, why does the stipulation of Kaepernick being on a team have to do with him signing an endorsement deal? I feel like it would be beneficial to both parties. If that happened, he could put out an entire line. Someone suggested the superheroes without capes line. So, but I mean, Adidas said it. I guess they're sticking to it. It'll be an interesting story to follow. Hopefully they'll reconsider. And speaking of Colin Kaepernick, trust me, this seems like it's not related, but I'll come back to that. American boxer Rod Salty Salka, I gave him that nickname, got pummeled in a Golden Boy Promotions boxing match versus Fernando Vargas when he decided it was a good idea for him to wear America First with a pattern of brick wall on his shorts. Vargas, who is a Mexican boxer, proceeded to beat the shit out of Salka for 6 rounds until his eye became swollen and his corner said, no mas. Again, Twitter took to some activity in this situation. This new border wall prototype looks weak as hell, said Dick Hercules. And
is that a real name?
It's probably not. I can't even see what the @ is.
Wait, Kid Whitey is a real name.
Kid Whitey is a real name.
And then you go to Dick Hercules.
Dick Hercules. Yes.
Listen, sir,
he's the one
we're trying to be a credible news source.
This
here.
is a Twitter. I'm just quoting a tweet that was funny. I'm not giving him as a source of any news whatsoever. He's not a news source.
I thought that you mentioned that someone was actually named Dick Hercules.
No. It's his Twitter handle.
His name?
Dick Hercules.
On
Twitter.
He twatted.
This new border wall prototype looks weak as hell with a bunch of pictures of this Salty Salka with his wall shorts covering the border of Mexico and America.
And what was his name again?
Dick Hercules.
Okay.
All right. And Ryan Sangalia said the coldest meme has to be the Rod Salka doing the Colin Kaepernick challenge. I think that's quite ironic. Sorry, Rod. Not so hot, huh? And in other news, to soccer, Italian team Roma defeated highly favored Barcelona in the Championship League semifinals. Before the match, Roma coach, I can't pronounce that, sorry, said that his team needed a, quote, miracle to advance. Well, apparently God was listening. The defeat would be, I'd say, equivalent to the Memphis Grizzlies NBA team making it to the playoffs somehow and then eliminating the Golden State Warriors. Barcelona forward Lionel Messi in this defeat did not score any points. If you guys don't know who Lionel Messi is, he's an extremely popular and extremely talented soccer player, one of the greatest in the league. So people have some shade, of course. FT Roma 3-0 Barcelona. Messi, 90 minutes played, 0 goals, 0 assists, 2 shots on target. Barcelona fans, is this your GOAT? I think people are going to this meme too much, but I did like the usage of it in this situation. And in my final news story, the NBA playoffs are in full swing. So far, only 2 upsets by rank. The New Orleans Pelicans won Game 1 against the Portland Trail Blazers, And the Cleveland Cavaliers lost to the Indiana Pacers, making the entire city of Indianapolis collectively lose their freaking minds. Trust me, they are losing their minds. They're already doing street interviews with people getting excited. I love when Indiana smells some sort of victory, because they just go balls to the wall as if their team, they always knew their team could do it. Guys, they are losing this series. I'm sorry. It's only game one of each series. There's still a lot of room for things to happen. I am going to take this time to talk without the Reggie Mathis, who is here on Thursday and gets to rebut all of my arguments. He's not here now, so I'm going to discuss a couple things. First of all, Milwaukee played Boston real tough. They got game 2. That was just the first round. Game 2, Milwaukee's doing it. They are winning that series. I know Reggie was excited that the Pelicans beat the Trailblazers. Davis went off. Not so sure about that one. I still have faith in the Trailblazers. My biggest worry would be Golden State Warriors being better than I thought they were. Screw the Warriors. I also wanted to add that Cleveland Cavaliers starters scored 25 points in this first game. LeBron James scored 24. So for all you LeBron James haters, please tell me what he can do with a team where his starters are scoring 25 points combined. That is all the sports news that I have for today. Trezene, we got comments? We got input?
Do we have any comments?
What's happening?
Mr. Lead Producer over there?
What's happening? Our producer? Oh, yeah, our producer's going to say it.
Yeah. There seems to be a couple activity here. Superfan Tanisha D. Newman Pruitt says the fact that the first 2 stories, there was saliva, are actual stories shows just how much the world has devolved. Throw away the whole wide world.
I thought you were going to say white people. Throw away the whole
No.
I had a Twitter conversation today about eliminating white people.
You did? With a white person?
No, it was with a black woman.
Oh.
Huh? Well, I was the one that suggested the elimination.
What did she say? I'm trying to figure out how this
She was
conversation
kind of being nice. She's a very nice person from all the tweets that I read from her. So she was being nice about it. But I was like, yeah, it's gonna happen. That's why I had to mix kids, and my son's gonna survive. He's okay.
He's gonna survive the purge. Huh?
Oh God. Okay. What else, Ray?
Let's see here. Anthony Michael Williams, you have to ask what bestiality is? WTF.
I'm with you. I'm like, we have to define this. But you know what? People want to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
So you've got to make it real clear for people who are actually trying to engage in these things, because they're looking for loopholes. They look for ways. I didn't even know that they had animal brothels.
Loopholes and any other kind of holes they can find.
Yeah, in my research, I learned that there are animal brothels. I was trying to find a picture for y'all, okay? And I discovered animal brothels, and I'm like, oh my God. Bestiality is still legal in like 26 states or something like that. Like, it's bizarre.
Bang animals.
To bang animals. It is a thing for people to bang animals. So,
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
They have locations set up with an array of animals.
Yes.
That they walk out for you to pick.
Yes.
Which one you want to bang.
You want to know the picture I saw to illustrate this logo of
I
Set
don't
Brothel?
want to.
Yes.
I don't.
It was a horse. It was a horse on its back.
J-Code does not.
It was a horse on its back, available and ready for the next
female
customer.
horse?
No. Well, I don't think it was a female horse, because it was.
Oh, so the women. Okay. Yeah, no more comments from me. What's Facebook saying? I got no more comments. I can't.
What?
Roll the whole world away.
Tanisha, she also says, I'll give it to the Carters. They are marketing geniuses. I bet that clothing line is going to sell out.
Oh
I'm
God.
not buying it, though. I agree.
It was sold out at Coachella for sure.
Yeah.
And what was sold out? The $450 Greek letter jacket was completely sold out.
People just slather over that
on
nonsense.
that piggyback, not so super fan Ramon Javier Benitez asked, I believe this was to you, Miss Trezene, how much did it cost you to pledge?
Ooh, let's see. For those who don't know, I'm a part of the Blue and Gold hashtag 1922. There were definitely some fees incurred in becoming a part of a Black Greek lettered organization. It's in the hundreds of dollars, and it's recurring if you are financial. Those initiation fees are not cheap. Sigma Rho, though, does have the lowest cost to enter an organization. If you're an AK or a Delta, get ready to pay some money. And I can tell you, a lot of that paraphernalia she was selling was kind of matching some of these initiation fees.
That's why I asked. I paid $1,200.
Yeah. There you go.
$1,200.
Yes.
I paid nothing. I didn't pledge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can leave that conversation right there where it is. I actually just saw a post on Facebook where someone's like, anybody gonna call Beyonce out for her incorrect use of Greek letters? Nah, she got too much power. He just left. And he was a member of AFIA, so there you go.
Yeah, superfan Baba Rob says, eliminating white people? Oh, really, J. Cole?
I'm just saying that inevitably it's going to happen. I know we're thinking it's going to go the other direction, but I don't think it is.
I think the sun's just going to kill them.
Exactly.
They're mortal.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
They're
Melanin will rule.
That's why Mr. Burns was, I'm going to eliminate my biggest competition, the sun.
Yes. Yes.
I think that's all white people.
That's it, right there.
That's so funny.
It's true. I was thinking that as I made the statement. Like, inevitably, one way or the other,
The sun
Interesting.
is going to kill
the
them.
sun's going to kill him.
And
Us.
Baba Rob actually says, animal brothels? No!
Yeah.
I'm going to look at, I just want you all to know, as a producer, I have to fact check all of these stories. I should fact check probably before we go to air.
Can you please,
Probably.
please put your browser on incognito? Thank you very much.
Private browsing begins now.
Oh my God, is that all the comments we have?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. You know what happens tomorrow is Tuesday. It's the Black Lightning pregame show. Wednesday will be the Woo show with Hoke Tone and T-Shack Talks. And then Thursday, Prime News will be back at 7 p.m.-ish, followed by the Thursday Wind Down hosted by Starla K. Mathis. You definitely want to watch that because it is the final episode of Scandal. Not just the final episode of the season, the last episode forever and ever of Scandal. So you definitely want to tune into that pre-game show, and then following that will be True Baller Thursday with the Reggie Mathis and J. Cole is it.
Hell?
What?
I just Googled animal brothels.
No! Put it on screen! Put it on screen! Animal brothel!
There's a line of men with sheep in front of them giving them blowjobs.
No, that's not real.
That's
That's not real.
You're scarred for the rest of your life. Look at his face.
That's not real.
it's real. Oh my God.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is why Prime News is the best news you could ever watch. We're always here Mondays and Thursdays, 7 p.m.-ish, here on the Fifth Column Network. Thank you all for watching. I'm Tresnay. You have seen J. Cole and heard from producer The Revolution. We will see you all next Thursday at 7 p.m.